Most people grow up being told to get a good job, work hard, and save money, and on the surface, that sounds like solid advice. But if we look deeper, we see that this advice produces a single stream mentality. It conditions people to believe that security is found in one paycheck, one career path, one source of income. The problem is life doesn't work that way. The moment that one source dries up, everything else crumbles with it. A layoff, an economic downturn, a health crisis, any disruption can expose just how fragile a single stream really is. Wealthy people think differently because they refuse to place their entire financial destiny in one basket. They think in terms of ecosystems, not streams. An ecosystem doesn't rely on one tree, one river, or one crop to sustain it. It thrives because of diversity, interconnection, and resilience. In the same way, a wealth ecosystem is built by intentionally cultivating multiple flows of income that work together to provide stability, growth, and freedom. But here's where most people miss it. They think multiple streams of income means juggling side hustles, grinding endlessly, or starting 5 businesses at once. That's not a wealth ecosystem. That's chaos disguised as ambition. A true wealth ecosystem isn't about scattering your attention everywhere. It's about deliberately designing a network of income streams that align with who you are, that feed each other, and that can survive disruption because they don't all depend on the same conditions. And the first shift to get there is mental. You must reject dependency. Dependency on a single stream feels safe, but it's actually the most dangerous financial position you can be in. It's like standing on one leg. You might balance for a while, but eventually you'll stumble. Wealthy people stand on many legs, so even if one weakens, the whole structure remains upright. Let's go even deeper. A single stream mentality isn't just financial, it's psychological. It trains you to tolerate scarcity, to cling to security, to fear risk. It keeps you in survival mode, where every decision is about protecting the paycheck instead of multiplying possibilities. The wealthy, by contrast, think in terms of abundance. They ask, how can I add another flow of value to the world? How can I make money work for me in more ways than one? That question is the seed of the wealth ecosystem. Now, some people hear this and think, well, that's only for the wealthy. I don't have the capital. I don't have the connections. I don't have the options. But understand this, wealthy people didn't start wealthy. They started by shifting their mindset. They refused to be content with dependence. They decided that their financial stability would not rest on a single employer, a single client, or a single product. They designed a system that could survive setbacks because it wasn't built on one fragile leg. Think of it like this. A farmer doesn't plant just one crop if he's wise. If the weather destroys the corn, maybe the wheat survives. If insects ruin one field, the orchard might still thrive. This is the principle of resilience, and it applies directly to wealth. Multiple streams aren't about greed or overwork. They're about sustainability. They protect you from forces beyond your control and position you to grow even when others are shrinking. Another misconception is that multiple streams require multiple jobs. That's not true. You can create income streams that run parallel to your main work, some that are active and others that are passive. One stream might be tied to your skills, another to your investments, and another to your assets. Over time, these streams start to form an interconnected system where one fuels the other. The key is that you're no longer at the mercy of one employer, one industry, or one market. This is why wealthy people have peace of mind. Their sense of security doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from knowing that their ecosystem is working for them. And this mindset shift creates freedom. When you're not desperate to cling to one source, you're free to take risks, to innovate, to say no to opportunities that don't serve you, and yes to the ones that expand you. So the first step in building wealth from nothing is to stop thinking in terms of one stream and start thinking in terms of an ecosystem. Ask yourself, what would my financial life look like if I wasn't dependent on just one paycheck? How much stronger would I feel if money was flowing from 3, 4, or 5 places, even if they started small? And how much more confident would I be knowing that no single disruption could sink me completely? That's the power of this shift. It's not about working harder. It's about working wiser. It's not about creating more stress. It's about creating more stability. And it's not about luck. It's about design. When you stop relying on a single stream and begin to build an ecosystem, you position yourself for resilience, growth, and ultimately freedom. So here's the question you must carry with you. Are you living on one fragile leg? Or are you building a system that can stand firm no matter what comes? Because wealth doesn't flow to the one who clings. It flows to the one who creates an ecosystem where money is always moving, always multiplying, always working. When people think about building multiple streams of income, they often imagine a portfolio of businesses, investments, or opportunities that operate completely independently from one another. They picture themselves spinning plates, each one in its own corner, trying desperately to keep them all from falling. That picture alone is exhausting. And it's also the reason why most people never succeed with multiple streams. The wealthy, however, view it differently. They understand that streams should not compete with each other. They should complement and feed into one another. Instead of spinning plates, think of building branches from the same tree. The strength of the trunk supports the branches, and the branches share nutrients from the same root system. What does this mean practically? It means your income streams should align with each other, not fight for your attention. If your first stream is built on a skill like sales, then the next stream might be teaching others how to sell, or consulting businesses on improving their sales systems, or even investing in companies that need stronger sales strategies. Notice what happens here. You are not starting from scratch. You are multiplying value out of what you already know. That's the difference between struggling entrepreneurs and wealthy wealth builders. The former chase new opportunities with no foundation. The latter expand opportunities from an existing foundation foundation. This alignment does more than make management easier, it multiplies results. When your streams flow into each other, energy in one enhances the others. A customer in one business becomes a lead in another. A skill sharpened in one venture makes you more effective in the next. A reputation built in one domain opens doors in another. It's synergy, not separation. And synergy is what allows wealth to scale without burning you out. There is also a philosophical layer to this idea. When your streams align, your wealth building becomes coherent with your identity and purpose. You're not fragmenting yourself, living 10 different lives for 10 different hustles. You're integrating your talents, your passions, and your opportunities into a whole that feels authentic. This is why people who align their streams experience less stress and more fulfillment, even while growing their wealth. They are not betraying themselves in the pursuit of money, they are expressing more of themselves through money. Let's ground this with an example. Imagine someone who is an excellent communicator. They start with a stream in copywriting, helping businesses craft messages that sell. Over time, they notice entrepreneurs asking for deeper guidance, so they create a coaching program teaching communication strategies. From there, they write a book which not only creates royalty income, but also positions them for speaking opportunities. Later, they invest in software tools that help with communication, earning equity in a company aligned with their expertise. Now, what started as one skill, communication, has expanded into 4 or 5 different streams, each reinforcing the others. None of them pull away from the core. Instead, they all flow back into it. Contrast that one who starts a copywriting business, then buys a food truck, then starts trading stocks, then opens a gym. What happens? Each stream demands a completely different skill set, customer base, and system. The result is overwhelm, not overflow. The difference isn't just strategy, it's psychology. The aligned person thinks like a builder, constructing on a solid foundation. The scattered person thinks like a gambler, chasing wins wherever they might appear, and gamblers rarely win in the long run. Another key benefit of alignment is scalability. When your streams build on each other, you can create systems and leverage across all of them. A marketing campaign for one can double as exposure for another. A team trained in one venture can transition to support a second. Content you create in one context can be repurposed in another. This efficiency means you're not working 10 times harder to maintain 10 streams, you're working smarter, letting the streams feed each other. But perhaps the most important insight is this: aligned streams reduce risk. If one slows down, the others still support the system because they share common ground. You don't have to reinvent yourself each time. You've already built the brand, the credibility, the expertise. In other words, alignment creates resilience. It makes your financial ecosystem antifragile. It doesn't just withstand shocks, it grows stronger through them. So as you think about building multiple streams, don't fall into the trap of scattering yourself. Ask instead, what is the root system I want to grow from? What skill? What passion? What value can I deepen so thoroughly that it gives birth to other branches? When you answer that question, you stop casing disconnected streams and start cultivating a river system that expands naturally and powerfully. And that's the essence of building wealth that lasts. Not streams that compete, but streams that connect. Not fragmentation, but integration. Not chaos, but coherence. Because in the end, money moves with clarity. When your streams are aligned, your energy compounds, your wealth multiplies, and your life feels unified. The powerful truth is this: wealth isn't about managing endless hustles. It's about multiplying the impact of what you already carry. Align your streams, and you'll find that prosperity doesn't just flow, it overflows. Most people talk about creating multiple streams of income as if the mere existence of those streams is enough to guarantee wealth. But wealth doesn't just come from the number of streams, it comes from how those streams are leveraged. A stream by itself can generate income, but when you learn to leverage it, when you position it to multiply beyond your direct effort, you unlock the real potential of wealth creation. The difference between working for money and having money work for you is found in leverage. Think about it this way: if you had to carry buckets of water every day to earn money, you'd be limited by how many buckets you could carry in a given time. That's income without leverage. But if you take the time to build a pipeline, the water flows whether you're carrying buckets or not. Building the pipeline requires more thought, more patience, and more strategy, but it multiplies your time because it produces results even in your absence. That is what wealthy people do with income streams. They pipeline them. Leverage can show up in different ways. One form is systems. If you create a business that depends entirely on your personal labor, it is just another job. But when you design systems, processes, automations, technologies that handle parts of the work, you've created leverage. Another form is people. You cannot build massive wealth without learning how to lead, inspire, and multiply through others. Every successful entrepreneur leverages teams, partnerships, and networks to scale their income beyond what they could ever do alone. Then there's intellectual leverage. If you write a book, record a course, or build software, you've created something that works for you over and over again without demanding more hours each time it delivers value. That's exponential. Instead of exchanging 1 hour for one paycheck, you create one asset that generates thousands of paychecks. And the deeper truth here is that intellectual leverage comes from taking the wisdom you already carry and turning it into something transferable, scalable, and enduring. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They confuse business with leverage. They work on multiple things, thinking they're multiplying when in reality they're just fragmenting. A true leverage doesn't create more work for you. It creates more results from the same work. That's why it requires a mindset shift. If your first question when approaching a new stream of income is, how much effort will this require from me? You'll stay stuck in self-employment. The better question is, how can I set this up so that effort compounds without me being the bottleneck? The psychology of leverage is fascinating. Most people are addicted to control, so they resist leverage. They think, no one can do it as well as I can, or they're afraid to release ownership of tasks, so they keep everything on their plate. But that mindset keeps them trapped in scarcity. Wealth builders understand that letting go is not losing control, it's gaining capacity. Every time you create leverage, you buy back time, energy, and focus that you can reinvest in higher value opportunities. There's also a spiritual and philosophical depth to this idea. Leverage is about multiplication, and multiplication is a universal principle. Seeds multiply, ideas multiply, influence multiplies, but nothing multiplies until it's released. If you keep the seed in your hand, it produces nothing. If you insist on holding on to every task, every decision, every action, you choke growth. But when you release, when you plant, when you delegate, when you build systems, you create the conditions for abundance. Leverage, then, is not just a financial strategy, it's an act of faith in the principle of increase. Imagine a person who runs an online coaching business. At first, they meet one-on-one with clients. That's valuable but limited. Then they create group programs which let them serve 10 people in the same time it once took to serve one. Then they record those teachings, turning them into a course that serves thousands while they sleep. Then they hire coaches they've trained to deliver the program, expanding their reach even further. That's leverage. Notice how each layer multiplies the same core expertise, but with increasing levels of freedom and scalability. Without leverage, you're forever tied to the grind. With leverage, your work starts to transcend your time. And here's the beauty: once you experience the power of leverage, you'll never look at money the same way again. You'll stop asking, how can I work harder? And start asking, how can I set this up to work harder for me? That one shift will change the trajectory of your wealth. So as you build multiple streams of income, don't just think about adding. Think about multiplying. Don't just ask how much a stream can make today. Ask how much it can compound tomorrow. Don't just think about what you can do with it. Think about what it can do without you. Because wealth is not a reward for endless effort. It's the harvest of leveraged effort. And here's the closing truth. I want to leave with you: money doesn't respond to how busy you are. It responds to how leveraged you are. Every stream you build should be designed to multiply itself, to extend your impact beyond the hours you put in. When you master leverage, you stop working for money, and you start letting money work for you. That is the shift that separates the wealthy from the weary. When we talk about building multiple streams of income, it's easy to get caught up in the mechanics, the businesses, the investments, the side hustles. But what truly separates the wealthy from everyone else is not just the streams they build, it's how they sustain them over time. Sustainability is the hidden force behind long-term wealth. Anybody can start a stream. Few can keep it flowing. And the difference lies in mindset, stewardship, and the discipline to protect what you created. Think about it: many people launch a business, start investing, or try their hand at real estate, and they even see early success, but a couple of years later, the business dries up, the investments are gone, or the properties are foreclosed. It's not that they weren't capable of creating the stream. It's that they didn't master the discipline of maintaining it. Wealth is not measured by how much you can make once. It's measured by how much you can keep flowing consistently and how well you can reinvest it to create even more. Sustainability begins with the mindset of stewardship. Money is a tool, and tools require care. You wouldn't buy a brand new car and never service it. You wouldn't build a house and never repair the roof. Yet that's exactly what many people do with income streams. They expect them to run forever without intentional maintenance. But wealthy people know that every stream needs oversight, strategy, and reinvestment. They don't treat income streams like lottery tickets, then treat them like gardens. And gardens require pruning, watering, and sometimes even restructuring if you want them to keep producing fruit year after year. Another critical factor in sustaining streams is discipline. It's one thing to make money. It's another thing to resist the temptation of instant gratification. When new money comes in, most people spend it before they've even earned it. That's why you hear stories of athletes who made millions but ended up broke. They had the streams, but not the discipline to keep them flowing. Sustainability demands restraint. It requires you to prioritize reinvestment over consumption, to value long-term wealth over short-term pleasure. Now, let's dig deeper into the psychology of sustainability. Many people sabotage their streams because they secretly don't believe they deserve to keep them. They make money, but deep down they feel guilt, fear, or even unworthiness about wealth. So unconsciously, they find ways to lose it. That's why mindset is not just about creating streams, but also about sustaining them. If you don't believe you're worthy of wealth, you will never hold on to it, no matter how many streams you build. Sustaining income requires healing your relationship with money, seeing it not as something you chase or fear, but as something you stored with responsibility and vision. Philosophically, sustaining streams is about alignment with principles. Wealth operates by universal laws: discipline, stewardship, multiplication, and service. If you ignore those laws, you can have temporary gain, but you won't have lasting wealth. Sustainability is the byproduct of alignment. If you align your streams with service, meaning your income comes from solving real problems, creating value, and meeting genuine needs, then your streams are far more likely to endure. But if your streams are built on exploitation or shortcuts, they may give you quick returns, but they will collapse under the weight of time. Here's another piece that often gets overlooked. Sustaining streams requires diversification in how you manage and reinvest them. If one stream grows, don't drain it dry. Reinvest part of its flow into building or strengthening another stream. This creates a cycle of protection. If one stream weakens temporarily, others sustain you. That's why wealthy people never depend on one source alone. They think in terms of ecosystems, not isolated projects. The goal is not just to build streams, but to create a river, a network of streams that feed into and support each other. There's also the matter of adaptability. No stream lasts forever in the same form. Markets change, industries shift, technology disrupts. Sustaining wealth requires the humility to adjust, to innovate, to evolve your streams so they remain relevant. Too many people cling to old models because they worked once and then they wonder why their streams dry up. But wealthy thinkers embrace change. They don't see sustainability as rigidity, they see it as fluidity. They understand that the stream must adapt to keep flowing. At its core, sustaining income streams is about thinking generationally, not just personally. If you only build for yourself, your streams will die with you. But if you think in terms of legacy, building structures, systems, and habits that outlive you, your streams can sustain your children, grandchildren, and communities. That's why sustainability is not just financial, it's philosophical. It's about asking, how do I create wealth that lasts beyond me? So when you think about multiple streams of income, don't just think about how many you can create. Ask yourself, how many can I sustain? How many can I keep flowing, growing, and multiplying even when I'm not there to push them along? Sustainability is the difference between fleeting success and enduring wealth. And here's the closing thought I want to leave you with. Wealth is not built on flashes of income. It is built on streams that never stop flowing. If you master the discipline of sustaining what you create, your wealth will outlast your effort, your time, and even your lifetime. Build not just for now, but for always, and you will create wealth that stands the test of time.